Live now to Kilmore in Victoria, where the opposition leader Peter Dutton is speaking, along with the Nationals Senate leader Bridget McKenzie.
A situation now where Australians are paying more for their new car under an Albanese government than anyone could ever have imagined. If people want to buy an electric vehicle, that's fantastic, that's great, and that's their decision. But don't jack up the price of other cars to try and make the EV look more attractive. I don't think people, particularly in regional areas, where they just don't have the range at the moment with the current technology, they're not going to be able to have a choice. Their choice at the moment is to buy a Ranger or a Hilux or a D-Max. The other point is that it's likely that some of these vehicles will exit the market. So the D-Max, almost with certainty, will be withdrawn from the market. And as we know, it's a popular vehicle because of the price point. It's cheaper than some of the other brands, and it's really been embraced by a lot of tradies around the country. And under Mr Albanese's new ute tax, the tradies will have to pay. It might mean that they don't even have the same choice that they've got at the moment between the vehicles available to them when they go down to their local dealership. So I think they're rightly condemned, and I think the Prime Minister needs to come out and explain why, in the middle of a cost of living crisis that Labor's created, it's a good idea to have a great, huge new tax on cars and utes. I'm happy to take any questions.
Just in regards to the asylum seekers in WA, yesterday you said the government needs to be honest and frank and open in relation to this issue. How can you demand more details when the coalition kept quiet on such water matters when you were in government?
Well, it's quite remarkable that the Prime Minister can look the Australian people in the eye and tell them that Operation Sovereign Borders is operating now as it was when we were in government, because of course it's not. When we were in government, the three limbs, the essential limbs to Operation Sovereign Borders, one, deterring back boats when it's safe to do so, offshore processing and temporary protection visas. The government has abolished the temporary protection visa, and they're now sending a green light to people smugglers when the news is distributed by the people smugglers that 149 criminals who are non-citizens and have committed terrible crimes can be released from immigration detention into the community for a permanent outcome in our country. How can the Prime Minister look the Australian public in the eye and tell them something that he knows is not true? And I think the government absolutely has got all sorts of problems at the moment, because it's clear that they don't have the same surveillance in place that we had when we were in government. It's inconceivable that a boat of this size, carrying 40-plus people, could make it to the mainland without there being any detection. And the Prime Minister carried on with some stupid story about his phone not working in the car and he couldn't be contacted. He was caught completely by surprise. He had not a clue that this boat had arrived when he was asked the question by the journalist. So I don't think you can take this Prime Minister at face value. You certainly can't take his word as his bond, and he's now implementing a huge new ute tax that tradies just can't afford to pay.